Hey everyone, I think we need to talk about this and the delays of Illuvium Zero and kind of how it's affecting me personally, mentally, and with everything else. And I'm always honest in all of my videos, but sometimes my hype and bullishness can kind of take over and take away from that side of things. And I just wanted to take a minute to do a different sort of video where I'm speaking my truth honestly, talking about the game, talking about the people, and kind of what's happening with Illuvium that is making it feel kind of stale and very tiring. And I want to be honest about this. And I know a lot of people are feeling the same as me. And I want to talk mostly about the facts, a little bit of my own personal opinion. And I want to be as objective as I can because that's the sort of person I am, and not everyone's into that. But I know that many people do enjoy it and find it refreshing. And I just wanted to go down that rabbit hole, right? So the first thing I'm talking about is kind of the hard facts of Illuvium, kind of where we're looking at there. And my big disappointment is really with Illuvium Zero. So that is going to be my focus. Even though Illuvium's taking a long time to produce as well. However, in the back of my head, I think I did kind of expect that it would take longer than what they might have expected, given it's AAA, how high quality, and the scope's evolution over time as well. But I'm going to talk about all that in just a minute. So the first thing I want to talk about is that the team is more disappointed about delays and the game not being out than you or me, all right? That is really important to remember. I've worked on many products and there's nothing worse than letting down your team. Think about when you're on the soccer field and you're playing a match with your friends. You're more disappointed in yourself when you fail to kick that goal than when you hand in your paper or your essay at school and you get a fail because you didn't really care about it that much. Also, you only let down yourself. When you let down other people, it can have a much bigger impact. And that is how the team is feeling right now. I really feel for them. I really do. And I'm just speaking about my own personal thoughts, but their value and them being taken care of is really all that matters to me here. That's the big thing I just wanted to get off my chest first. The other thing we should talk about is that mobile games typically take about 5 to 18 months. And we're looking not even at the high end there. Currently, we're looking at about 10 or 11 months it might have taken to produce Illuvium Zero to a high-end standard and a good mobile standard. So that is worth keeping in mind. Obviously, it should have meant that their timelines would have been a bit different when they first announced them, but that's neither here or there. The other thing is that typically AAA games take 2 years or more, and for even those with thousands of people in a huge studio and multi-million dollars, it can take 5+ years. You're thinking like your Cyberpunks and things, which probably even took even longer. But you get the idea that we're actually at about 18 months in the development cycle for Illuvium and about 9 months for the development cycle of Illuvium Zero, I think. So, something like that. So keep in mind that these are still way below the standards in the Web 2 industry, and I do genuinely think it can compete. So worth considering that. The other thing is that in a vacuum, delaying the release of a AAA game is always the right decision. I want that to be absolutely clear. If you delay the release of, say, if Cyberpunk delayed their release, that would have been the right decision. That is always the right decision, okay? I don't care what publishers or anything say. They're going to make significantly more money from producing a product that isn't shit than producing a product that is shit, okay? And there's only one first impression, and I completely agree with that, especially for a flagship game. However, that is not how I view Illuvium Zero. The direction and goals of Illuvium Zero have changed significantly, and even though it looks night and day, it probably plays night and day as well, it's significantly better, and the overhaul was obviously a really good decision. I don't necessarily believe it was the right decision. Now, put it simply, a 1-year delay is brutal. We didn't quite get that with Illuvium Zero, looking more like 4 or 5 months. But even the land sale had about a 1-year delay, I think, or 6-month delay in itself. So we're looking at about they were supposed to get it out really quickly, like early January, February, I think, just get things rolling. And obviously the hacks hit them back a bit. But a 1-year delay is pretty much why I'm making this video. We're not at the 1-year mark, but it certainly feels that way. And that is what's making me so tired, I guess. The most disappointing thing here for me is that Illuvium was supposed to be this ray of hope. Now, what I mean by that is that the land sale was the most successful event I've ever seen in crypto. And I've been here for a while, and I've seen all the NFT stuff rise and fall, right? it was the most successful event that ever happened. And part of that success, in my opinion, 50% of that success was Illuvium Zero coming out pretty much straight after the land sale. That was an important feature there, is that we did a land sale, no one got destroyed on fees. It was really successful, went really well. There were lots of people chatting, a lot of great community sentiment, and the game is going to come out soon after, which is something no other crypto project does. They always like pre-sale all their crap. And that's one of the reasons I love Illuvium, is because they don't have that pre-sale stuff. But because of all the delays, it felt a little bit like a pre-sale, and that's left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, and it hurts. And people are going to remember that in the future in the Web3 space, regardless of how good the game is. And I think that is important, that they had a reputation and they made a few decisions that meant that that reputation shifted a little bit, and which is unfair on a lot of people, but it's just the way it is. It's unfortunate, right? So the other thing is that the Illuvium Zero scope had a very specific scope. It was supposed to be a time killer until the main game launched. And they changed that scope, which is fine, and the community voted on it. I'll talk about that in a second. But they changed it. It was supposed to be a time killer. That was its point. Hold us by until the Illuvium main game launches. And then that got shifted on us, and that feels really unfair to me. I think that you should stick with your plans. That's very much how I am. And game development is not very like linear. It's very fluid. It can be a little bit random. There's a lot that's going on and going into it. So obviously things are going to change, but I feel like sticking to IIPs is something that needs to happen as strictly as possible. And there's a lot that's got into that. I'm just upset that it's not out. Maybe I'm just salty. I don't know. But I think it was supposed to be a time killer, and that was forgotten somewhere along the way. And I don't think it should have been forgotten along the way. That's all. So the other thing is, obviously AAA is better and the game looks way better, but there should have been more discussion around how it could have been upgraded down the line. Obviously it was an alpha. I don't know if the first impression would have mattered that much. Obviously it's not really worth the risk, being like, oh, maybe it'll get its proper launch when we upgraded it, even though people could play it. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But I definitely think upgrading it over time and getting a fleshed out product down the road would have been really great. There is a big positive here in that circulating blueprints could have been a bit messed up if the Illuvium Zero launched like 12 months before the main game. And then blueprints, the early blueprints, if they even existed at the time, would have been pretty worthless by that point. I think them being close to the main game launch would be a good thing. So there's definitely that to consider. And I've lost a bit of my excitement for the game. I'm hoping when it comes out, when I get my hands on it, that will all be reinstated, but I can't say for sure. Obviously, I have a lot of plots as well. I don't know if I'll be able to play them all. I hope so. But that's another side of things, is getting rental out faster would be really nice, but I don't know where that's at. So the last thing I want to say is that I disagreed with the overall decision to delay Illuvium Zero, and I think they should have just released the product that was promised, and essentially it looked kind of crap, I agree. But I think they should have just released it, because that was the point of the entire thing. And releasing a product straight after the land sale was really important to me. That was an important part of Illuvium's mantra and Illuvium's system. But it doesn't necessarily mean delaying it was the wrong decision. It's just my opinion on what I think would have been better. And maybe it would have been way better to delay it. We'll never really know. But it was probably the right decision, even though I don't think it was the right decision for Illuvium given their values, or given what I see their values to be. And in my opinion, the values and upholding those values in your community is just as important as making money a lot of the time. And you can see how reputation can affect things, especially with things like EA. EA stopped upholding the values that their community thought they had, and they suffered very much for it. Let me just put it that way. They suffered very harshly and very quickly. So just know that values and overall values and sentiment are really important to me. And that's kind of where I'm coming from here. And yeah, so the other thing, I just want to really quickly talk about that little vote. There was a little vote in the discussion that was like, oh, do you want to wait for Illuvium Zero to be better or not? I think there was a vote, but I said it then and I'll say it again. If we knew what the timeline was, that vote looks completely different. I think people were assuming the timeline was, oh, a 1 month delay, and they're all voting, yeah, 1 month delay for a better game. Obviously, let's do it. But the delay is more likely 3 months. And I think if people knew that at the time, or were like, oh, we have a chance of not getting it before Christmas, then I don't think people would have voted that way, and I think we would have gotten the original game, or something different would have come. And obviously, you don't know how long it's going to take to produce, but it's just one of those things that's really hard to avoid. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. I'm not going to do these too often. I just wanted to speak my mind for a minute, get something off my chest, make me feel a bit better, hopefully make you feel a little bit better. The team is working really hard, and they deserve as much respect as you can give them, okay? There's no one's fault things have been delayed, and maybe some decisions were right or were wrong, but it's just it's one of these things we have to live with and we have to go with. And when we get the game, I'm sure it'll be a fantastic game, and that's going to be awesome. Have a good day, everyone.